19th episode of the PiP. I am Jacob, and again, as always, I am here with my good friend Khaled.
How's everyone?
So, have you have any topic to lead us off with, or you want to talk about that Spider-Man thing that I saw earlier?
Oh, you can talk about that, and we'll discuss it.
All right. So, according to a article I read earlier, it is confirmed that like the past Spider-Men will appear in the new Spider-Man movie.
Exciting.
Fighting their own respective like villains. I think the Amazing Spider-Man will have the Rhino and what's the other one?
Electro. Yeah, Electro.
No, Electro. The original will have, like, with Tobey Maguire, he will be fighting Doc Ock and Sandman, while Tom Holland will be fighting Falcon and Mysterio, and that's Siri trying to talk to me.
Mysterio, I see what it did.
But yeah, and I think the reason why according to this article, the main reason Doctor Strange is going to be there is to erase everyone's memory of Tom Holland's identity being revealed. Peter Parker. So, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is all true?
Probably. Well, so Doctor Strange and Jamie Foxx have both been confirmed to being part of the cast. So I'm on board with that one. They do have to make amends for fans with the whole red herring and about like kind of leading with the multiverse, but not being a multiverse situation. I know Doctor Strange is going into Multiverse of Madness, Scarlet Witch. The whole WandaVision connects to that one. So hopefully, I don't know. I'm very interested to see that. So,
because I don't
know. Go ahead.
I know way before they announced the like the cast, like even like almost a month or two after the Far From Home came out.
Yes.
They started talking about like the Sinister Six.
Yes.
And
so
that would be 6 villains.
Well, see, and that's the thing though. So what, so one of the failings of the Amazing Spider-Man situation, was, can you still hear me? I don't know. My thing did. Yeah, okay. So one of the failings of the Amazing Spider-Man series is that they were trying to like capture lightning in a bottle with a restricted like property. So they weren't going to do anything, and then Suicide Squad got mentioned. Suicide Squad, a ragtag group comprised of villains to do good. So that gave Sony this idea to do the same thing. So they start like really poorly trying to set up for the Sinister Six movie and just kind of rushing it, and it's just kind of weird, and nothing came of it. And then they just kind of scrapped it when finally we got to see Spider-Man on the big screen with the Avengers. So I don't know. I'm very interested to see how far it goes, because there's a recurring like trope, or I would say like it's kind of a saying, like too many villains. Yeah. Many movies suffer from the too many villains situation. So if you have your first act, second act villain, usually it rarely does well. So have it, like that concept.
According to the article, there will be like time space shenanigans going on.
Yeah.
And then apparently the other two, like Tobey Maguire, and then the other one, the Amazing Spider-Man guy. I keep forgetting his name.
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently they don't come in until like about halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
Because I think I don't know, as long as they play it right. Like there's a line that they have to walk with that, I guess.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like a suck your teeth and make that, I don't know, when it comes to Sony. Because Far From Home wasn't a terrible movie, but there's parts in it it's like, really? And I think it's also to the benefit of being a comic book fan that you're just like, oh, Mysterio, he's good. And like, but is he though? That it wasn't enough of a surprise because of it. They didn't change anything except they lied about what they were going to do, kind of thing. So I don't know. It's very interesting. I really, again, Venom can stay out of this. he can stay far from it, Far From Home, from Sony. But I don't know. So I'm interested to see how they go with it, I guess. It's a very I don't know. I'm tentatively waiting just to see how that plays out, in case, kind of thing.
I don't know. I do think it'll turn out good. I really enjoy Tom Holland as the new Spider-Man, and I honestly really want to see Tobey Maguire come back as Spider-Man as well.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Garfield, I enjoyed like his costume, and
Absolutely.
I don't know, he had some really cool fight scenes, I think, as well.
Oh, absolutely. Like that's the thing. Like you can say what you will about the Amazing Spider-Man, like 1 and 2, but like I understood the original looking costume, and then the fact that he had to upgrade it.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's cool. I liked it. The only weird thing was him buying web fluid from Oscorp, because then you're just kind of like, hey, let's just look at his Amazon account. Hey, this guy buys a bunch of our web fluid. That's Spider-Man. So that was kind of a weird thing to do. And the reasons why I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man, because no, he makes it. Like that was important to me, which is very funny because Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is based off of the Ditko original Spider-Man, but he has organic webs.
Yeah.
Like the Ultimate Spider-Man. Tom Holland's Spider-Man is a merge of Ditko, but also the Ultimate Universe, and he builds his own webs, like the original continuity. I'm like, huh. Whatever. As long as you get it right, I'm happy. But yeah, I'm hopeful to see where it goes from it.
I like the like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man when he's losing his powers in that like little spurt that he had, and he like jumps off of the building. And when he lands, he's just like, my back. I don't know why. It just sticks in my mind. Because I think even as a kid, I was like, why?
Yeah, I mean that's happened before in comic books as well. Like he's lost his power, started losing his power, and at sometimes it was like because he was like mutating or losing, like he was basically being cured. Sometimes they've done it where it literally is stress, like stress affects his power.
It's just funny,
right?
Because they made me think it's like the Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
they're telling Miles it's just a leap of faith. It's like, not all the time. It's not always a leap of faith.
I'm about to jump off the building, and it's like, nope, and then gets a shorter building.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Thank you for bringing up Spider-Verse. That's so most people who are like big Spider-Man fans think that while Spider-Man 2 was a really great, like one of their favorite Spider-Man movies, that Into the Spider-Verse is arguably one of the best feature films of Spider-Man. Which I'm in that area, that column. I think that Into the Spider-Verse was a real like love letter made by fans.
Yes, but I want them to make another one using the same animation style.
They plan to. Thankfully. 2020 2022, 2021. I don't know. It's slated now. But saying that though, because technically it isn't Into the Spider-Verse, the sequel live action movie, but at the same time he is going into a Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And is it, again, like Sony has that habit of going, this is popular, we jump onto this bandwagon. Because they're going to make like Sable and Black Cat movie, which whatever. They kind of like, let's just ride it as haphazardly as possible. So is it for me going to be like, oh, cool, well, at least I got to see the Spider-Man, but okay, at least Into the Spider-Verse, or the writers of Into the Spider-Verse, like, we got this, we have this perfect script, and then Sony's like, we don't really have a script, let's just take your script. I'm like, oh, like, so it's going to be the same story told twice kind of thing, with some with variation. I don't know.
I hope it is not that.
Oh, absolutely. Like, yeah, I'm excited. But thinking of Marvel news, do you know who Kamala Khan is, also known as Miss Marvel?
No.
So there's first Miss Marvel was in how they're playing off with Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So she's Miss Marvel for a bit, and then she finally goes to Captain Marvel. So to not go too nerd category, well, I guess we are nerd, but too sweaty nerd. There's genetic lineage inside of some human beings that make them inhumans. There was a Terrigen Mist bomb that causes them to start unlocking. So they're almost like mutants, but the powers are locked away. So this Terrigen Mist sprays and it hits this one Pakistani American girl that is a big like superhero fangirl. She wakes up and now she has these powers of growing in size and stretching and morphing and so forth. And she finally gets the name. She takes the name Miss Marvel, and Captain Marvel goes, okay, I'm not using it. Sure, you can have that moniker. So they're making a show, and so they finally cast her, which is very interesting. The actress I think she'll do fine, just to see how that goes. And then I know they also cast She-Hulk, which I'm very excited about. The actress is the actress who played in Black. I can think of it's a spy movie about clones, or spy clone about Black Orphan. The lead actress from Black Orphan is going to be Jennifer Walker, who is AKA She-Hulk. So that's cool. I'm kind of excited about that.
I really enjoy like most Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's something about like the Spider-Man movies. It's just like, yes. And then there's also like Iron Man. I really enjoy the Iron Man movie.
Oh yeah.
Walters. Robert in the chat said Walters.
There you go. Walker, Walters, Reed, whip it, boop, boop. But yeah. So we don't know how relative or related she is to Bruce Banner in this universe, but hopefully there's some. Because, I mean, say what you will about the Mark Ruffalo Hulk, like Mark Ruffalo is a joy to just pop up. So if he's just in this show, then I'm just like, Mark Ruffalo. This dude.
I think Mark Ruffalo is one of the better Hulks, honestly.
So like the way I say with it is that Mark Ruffalo does remind me a lot of the old like Bigsby Hulk from the 1970s and 80s.
Like the TV show?
Correct. His banner. So I would say that Edward Norton was a perfect looking Bruce Banner. Like his size, his physique, he was a perfect Bruce Banner. Mark Ruffalo's Hulk was a very comic accurate Hulk. But then again, actually, I'll say Edward Norton's Hulk too. So the Hulk from like Mark Ruffalo's era of Hulk, where it's just kind of like he's big and more apish, fits the early age of Avengers. That look is more like the apish Hulk. And then the like Edward Norton style Hulk was more like your Planet Hulk and World War Hulk look, where he's a little bit more jacked and his looks a little bit different in comparison. So, but both of them were cool movies. I enjoy Hulk in either ways, but I think Mark Ruffalo as an actor, I like him better acting wise as Bruce Banner. Ed Norton listening to this, what? Ed Norton? What of all people? Well, thanks for the listen, but but yeah.
It's kind of surprising that I used to watch the old like Incredible Hulk TV show.
Oh man, love that show, and I still reference the like sad man music at the end.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like now the fact that you've said that you've watched it, that means because I don't mention it in like reference and like pop culture references because not too many people have watched it, but I think I've done it before when we were playing D&D at Cody's, and I mentioned the song. We're just like, I don't know. But then again, this might have been before you start playing the game with us. So
they also reference the song in Family Guy, don't they?
They do. Stewie's doing it.
Stewie's like doing his thumbs up and stuff. Like,
there's a comedian who, yeah, it's like there's a comedian who does that too. He's just like, man, when I was watching, I was like, man, I feel so bad for him. And he's like, but that song works in any moment. She's like, yeah, I'm pregnant, it's yours. And he starts playing it, just walking away. It's like, no, that's a perfect song.
Yeah, I used to watch that TV show with my grandma.
Because the funny thing is, both Daredevil is in that show and Thor.
Really?
Yes. Have you ever seen the show Good Luck Charlie?
Yes.
That dad is Thor.
Really?
Yeah. Which was weird because I was like, why does he look so young? He doesn't really look that changed. He looks like Mr. Incredible if you think about it.
You know what? I can kind of see that he does. Wait a second, he does look like Mr. Incredible. I cannot unsee this.
It is a gift I give unto you. And did you watch the Winter, or was it Falcon and Winter Soldier trailer?
No.
Their official trailer. It's really good. I am very interested to see how it goes. It seems that it's always been that way. So the dynamic is that Bucky is being the Captain America kind of straight edge, voice of reason, and Falcon's kind of being the hotshot Maverick kind of character.
Yeah. And
in a very interesting way, because it's almost as like Bucky is quote unquote showing his age, because Bucky's about 100 years old. And
yeah, so he was as old as
yeah. Yes. So that concept of him just like, don't do it, and then Falcon's like, I'm gonna do it. So that little buddy cop situation.
Because didn't they both have did they both have the serum?
No, just Bucky has a serum in him, or a type of serum. Yeah. Falcon is just
no. I meant like both Captain America's.
Oh. So Captain America has the original a type of serum in him, and then Bucky has a different version of a super soldier serum.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought, because I was like, I don't know. I haven't seen that movie in a while. I don't feel like it was mentioned. So,
but it is shown like that Captain America's serum is still like more potent, just like through the events of like Civil War. Captain America can jump further and do more things.
Yeah.
And then so he's still a little bit stronger than, but then it just, I don't know. So it goes into that concept of, well, what did that serum do? Because again, the other guys were putting Bucky into paces when it came to fighting him. His metal arm helps out a bunch though. So I don't know.
I wonder if it's more potent because technically he was frozen. So like,
I don't know.
Was Bucky ever frozen?
Yes, they
like wiped.
Yes. Yeah, no, so they did everything. So they froze him, and so what they do is they wiped him, brainwashed him, and then would freeze him. And he was, so they explained that he would come in and out of time. So they would take him out, he would cause an assassination attempt or a coup or stealing stuff, and then they'd freeze him again. And they would just keep doing this to him. So he witnessed the world more than Captain did in the aspect of its growing and changing. But
I think that movie will end up being really good.
Oh yeah,
because I honestly like Bucky more than I liked Captain America.
Oh yeah, like
he was more interesting as a character.
I agree. I mean, and I think right before Civil War, I decided to binge watch the other two Captain America movies.
Yeah.
And it just so there was a difference. So when I first watched the first Captain America movie in theaters, and he's like, this is Bucky, then there's like this giddiness, like, oh my goodness. So when he fell off the cliff, you're like, ooh, but do you know what that means? And you know what I mean? There's like this anticipation. And then when I was worried. It's like, okay, are they going to bring Bucky back? You're hoping they do, and they finally show him with his arm. Like that was the most important thing. It's like, I want to see that metal arm. And it met up to expectations. Like to this day, like Civil War is like one of my top 3 favorite Marvel movies. Not Civil War, Winter Soldier. Civil War is good too, but Winter Soldier is one of my top 3.
Yes.
But yeah. So just that fight scene and how his character fights differently than Captain America is very cool too. His knife techniques. You can thank him for me harassing you with the plastic butcher knife and learning knife techniques. Josh losing his mind with the simple knives transition.
He's astounded by the little things.
I appreciate it though. I loved it. But yeah, so I think so it should be a show though, so that's what's going to make it wonderful.
Is it going to be on Disney Plus?
Yes.
Big sad.
So what you do is you just wait, and then you do a free prescription, and then subscription, and then you just
binge it, yeah.
Binge the heck out of it, and then just laugh, or do like me, where it's a free subscription, and then a month later.
Disney Plus left a bad taste in my mouth.
What did it?
They were like, here, have this free subscription, watch all these cool Marvel movies. And on there was like on the screen, like the advertisement thing. Well, I think it was might have been Endgame or Infinity War, and then Black Panther. It was one of the two, I know Black Panther was on it. But then I sign up, I do the thing, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch Black Panther full quality, and it wasn't on there. The Spider-Man movies weren't on there at the time either, because they had previous contracts that didn't go out of date, and I was like, there's no other movies I want to watch on here. Those were the movies I did this for.
That is funny.
I think they're on there now, but my free trial ain't now.
Yeah.
It was very salty. The Hamilton's on there on Disney Plus, and that was really good.
And then What If finally got a teaser trailer, which is very interesting to me.
What is that?
So, back in the ages of Stan Lee working in Marvel, they did these things of what if there's one really cool one. It's what if, how did it go? What if Iron Man was Hulk and something, there are a bunch of different ones. It's what if Tony Stark was the Hulk, and Spider-Man was it's basically just these scenarios that it doesn't mess up the major continuity. It just kind of just gets them to explore, like the writers get to explore stories using these characters and so forth. And like, what does it mean for these characters to be the characters that they are and whatnot? I'm trying to think of a really famous one, but yeah, it's just what if Professor X didn't die? I think one is like, what if Professor X didn't die for Age of Apocalypse? It's just different ones, but major story points. It was like, well, what happens if this happened? And it just changes up everything. It's very interesting. But they're going to make it an animated series where it's just a bunch of these stories. Maybe they're new and maybe they're pulled from fan favorite stories and just kind of going with it kind of thing. So that one, I don't know. I'm a sucker for anthology. I'm a big sucker for like anthology films and stories and so forth.
So with that free trial of Disney Plus, I remember looking through all the stuff and I was like, meh. And I saw The Mandalorian and I was like, I should watch this. And I was like, I hate Star Wars. No. That's how that went. I was like, Baby Yoda couldn't even convince me to watch it.
Well, your character is accidentally the Mandalorian, so, you know.
Yeah, my character's accidentally the Mandalorian / Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
More Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Super funny.
I need
but I will say,
pop figure.
Oh yeah, that I've now watched that pop figure's like hundreds of dollars.
It's sad. Continue.
Oh no, you're fine. Another one that I am very excited about is I still like WandaVision. Because that right there's going to be different. Like, so if you ever watch the trailer, you can see this thing where it's traveling through time. So like all the sitcoms of back in the day, and they kind of jump through time, and the sitcoms start changing through different like different realities and tonal shifts and different eras and so forth. So that one, and then again, the fact that it's supposedly connecting to the multiverse of madness makes me very, very happy. We'll see.
The Venomized Ghost Rider pop figure looks like Endeavor from My Hero, like with the fire. Because it kind of looks like he has like a fire mustache and beard and fire hair.
Oh,
so it kind of looks almost like Endeavor, just with like a weird suit on. But Cosmic Ghost Rider pop figure is like $30 to $50 right now. Big sad.
Yeah.
Not worth. What was it? Oh, did you hear what CD Project Red came out with? So they, according to, I think it was PC Gamer, was the people who made the article. CD Projekt Red, when they were doing all of the Cyberpunk trailers and stuff, they specifically did not show any like last gen consoles, so Xbox One and PS4, because they knew it was gonna run bad. So like they specifically hid it. They never like featured it or anything like that. And that's made everyone angry. Everyone's angry.
Wait, so they don't show? Okay, so what do you mean? So they didn't show you like how it looked on your previous consoles?
So when they show Cyberpunk, right?
Yeah.
They always show it looking the best. Correct? Like really good and really well. And then when they show actual gameplay footage, it's always from like probably a maxed out PC.
Yeah.
They never once showed what it was going to be like on a past, like previous platform console, so PS4, Xbox One. And it looks like garbage.
Oh, okay.
And so everyone's mad, and PS4 is actually like Like Sony's like, if you didn't like it, you can get a refund through us.
Oh no, that is real. Okay, that's very interesting because, like, you have it where these games do come out and they have it right at the bottom where they say, shown on PC or gameplay as shown or gameplay not complete. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So I mean, that's impressive that it's that bad that people would be upset. I don't know. And well, not just upset, but actually getting refunds, I should say.
Yeah. So, crap. Let me find the article. PS4 performance. I might not find that exact article, but I'm going to find how good it performs. PS4. Yeah, the developers. This is from GameSpot, not GameStop. The developers admits to poor performance on PS4 and Xbox One, offers refunds. I did see an article that said Sony was offering refunds. So Digital Foundry found that on the base PS4, the much anticipated game dropped to 15 FPS in some sequences, while the PS4 Pro dropped as low as 18, but hits 30.
Wow.
A lot more often, meaning, like, so another thing they did was the recommended specs. Usually recommended specs means like you'll get over 30 FPS, closer to 60.
Exactly.
What they did was recommended specs means you'll get 30. And so me not knowing this, when I started playing, I was expecting to get 60. Apparently I'm supposed to just get 30. And that's recommended. So like, what?
That's crazy.
It's not. So it's from in this article, someone said it's not just that it's running at 20 FPS or under 20 FPS, but it stutters as well as it streams in the world. So like, but it stutters as well as it's okay. So like, what I infer from that, it's like stuttering and it won't load with the world. So for instance, one of the problems I have is I will be riding one of the motorcycles in it.
Mm-hmm.
It gets to a point where I'm moving, I hit like a momentum. And so everything stops spawning around me. Like, even if I slow down and sit there for like 10 minutes, just listening to dialogue, nothing spawns around me.
Oh, wow.
Like, I can see the cars in the distance, but as I drive to them, they disappear.
Oh, wow.
Another, like, some of my cars will sink into the road. It's a real, like, garbage dump right now. I know it will get fixed, but at the moment, I really do believe people shouldn't have been rushing them.
I agree.
So, whoa. Let's see here. I think we just lost college. Hello?
I'm back. That was weird.
Okay.
That was interesting because you're like so, and it's like silence. I'm like, well, okay.
Well, apparently people. So, okay. Running Cyberpunk on PlayStation 5 via backwards compatibility increases frame rates to 60 FPS.
Wow.
So that's meaning like they're not running the PS5 version of the game. They're running the PS4 game copy on the PS5.
That's kind of clever and crazy at the same time.
It's clever, and it's sort of like, ew. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Still, like, I don't think you can change settings on Xbox. my recommendation is if you want to get it now, get it with the knowledge that it's not gonna be great. But if you're gonna, I would personally, if I hadn't already played it, I would wait and play it when it's better because it'll be way more enjoyable. I've run into several glitches that have made me like restart save points, and then one that almost made me lose the game save.
Oof.
But I'm almost done with the game. I'm like right there at the end. So not to give anything away. I'm not going to, but I would rate it story-wise. It's a great game.
Look forward
ruined by the glitches and unoptimizations.
Yeah. Thinking, well, on the topic of both CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk. So, what's his name? His name is Michael Zabrowski.
Well, you're about to say Michael Reeves, and I was about to be like, oh, so now you know his name.
I still don't know who that is. But yeah, so Michael Zabrowski is the original, the 2002 Witcher. So he's the Witcher, and so he's a Polish actor and so on and so forth. Well, for Cyberpunk 2077, he is the voice for Johnny Silverhand. So it's this weird, like, complete circle where you have a Witcher who plays for the company that got big off of The Witcher, now playing one of their characters or whatever, one of, like, you know what I mean, for one of their games. And it's kind of like a little loop of just a nod to The Witchers.
So apparently on the PS4, it is capped at 30 FPS, meaning it couldn't go higher than 30 FPS if it wanted to, which is crazy. And apparently it also makes like a standard PS4 sound like it's going to explode.
Oh my.
With like its fans revving up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, I think that's enough on the Cyberpunk. I hope it gets better soon, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, it's a gorgeous looking game, so
I think if people start getting refunds, they might not revisit it. And I think it does deserve a revisit in the future.
I agree. Because I'm very sure, well, Grand Theft Auto 5, we're getting like a PlayStation version of that. And I'm very sure Skyrim is right around the corner.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we could make a new Skyrim. What about, and hear me out, we make the exact same game with a little bit better graphics. But it's going to be the graphics that modders can have done already. We just charge them. So.
Yeah, I think on Noah's computer, and he got the top of the line like card 2 weeks before the 30 series came out, which is really funny. It runs pretty much flawlessly, I think, from my understanding. Yeah. But again, that's a chunker PC right there. That'll take a lot of money out of your wallet. What was that? For some reason, I have like a slight memory of seeing an article about the 30 series being scalped, as well as like the PS5.
Yeah.
Fiasco. I think that's also happening. Unsure though. 30. Feel free to interrupt. I'm just sort of rambling at this point. Like if you have another thing you want to talk about.
Well, let's do this. Jumping to D&D. So have you heard who's been cast for the D&D movie from Paramount?
Ooh, wait a second. I read an article on it, but I didn't think you would find it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in the D&D. Both, well, I have fond memories of the movie. Like me and Robert went to watch that movie before. It was a good supplement because
it's the guy that does his own stunts, isn't it?
That's super.
Is it Tom Hanks? Is that the one?
No, that's my thing. I think that Tom Hanks should make amend as an apology to the D&D community for his hand and role at the whole Satanic Panic by being in a D&D movie. Like that's how you should apologize. Or playing D&D. Tom Hanks can apologize by playing Dungeons and Dragons with us.
Chris Pines. That I looked it up because I was upset that it wasn't Tom Hanks.
Yes, Chris Pines is going to be cast in the Paramount D&D movie. I don't know. We don't know who or his role, but it's just kind of like, okay, we'll see. I don't know. Because it's really weird. So this is my take on it, is that Dungeons and Dragons came about heavy inspirations from the Tolkien lore. So much so, halflings used to be called hobbits, treants used to be called ents, and there's other like little things as well that they had to change because they got sued by the Tolkien estate. Now, that being said, that it's D&D is in its own right, granted different ways of playing, but D&D is a Tolkien-esque adventure to make it super simplified. So in that same vein, why wouldn't someone want to, again, not trying to make it exactly Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, but make it in a fantasy movie where it's not really driven by who they cast, but it's as in the names of the actors, but more driven by how well these actors are. And so I think that would work a lot better. And so Chris Pines is in there, and no one knows what's going to do. It might do like the isekai, like what they're doing with Monster Hunter, which makes me want to cringe a little bit, where it's just kind of like Chris Pines is some uncle or dad who finds a Jumanji-like D&D case, and him and his nephew and or niece go into this other world to connect, kind of thing. We don't have to. Just, or Chris Pine is the leading man. So it's like, no, just, we don't need that. Just put us in the world and let us figure out. A lot like Mad Max Fury Road. They did not tell you that much. Yes, there's some exposition parts in it, but it's just kind of like you're going around like Jack Skellington. What's this? What's this? What's this? And just trying to figure out what this world's about. And that's kind of how it should be, I feel. I don't know. I think that Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, Paramount, who all owns the properties, that they have this golden opportunity to make 3 totally different styles of a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Like one which is more serious and gritty, because I would have to say that, what is the movie? That King Arthur movie was a very Dungeons and Dragons Frank Frazetta movie. Like Game of Thrones has gotten people into D&D. That's more of a serious, dark, like grim dark version of D&D. But then you can also have the goofy, funny things. Like you can what happens is they make a movie where the characters have to break the fourth wall because there is a legit DM that's the narrator of the story. Like, what if it's like almost like trying to think of a movie, Hitchhiker's Guide. So what if we make a D&D movie that's like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but instead of just the narrator, it's the DM, where you have the barbarian. So I'm going to knock down this door and I'm going to just kill everything in here. And then it goes, Gong is not going to knock down the door and kill everything because there's a giant gelatinous cube in there, but he doesn't know that, and I'm not telling him. You know what I mean? And just like, and then he just smash cut to him screaming because he's losing his equipment. He's like, "See, wasn't this funny? Because I didn't tell him." And then just just and just like comical and like the big like love letter to the serious and the funny parts of D&D. Because Onward was like kind of questionably D&D. It's like, can you do that? I don't know if you can do that, but yeah. So I think that'd be a great thing. And I've said to people before, it's like maybe it doesn't exist. It's an old rule I used to say. It's like, if you keep having the question, why doesn't blank exist? Maybe that's the universe telling you you're supposed to make it.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, if there's not a D&D that plays out where it's kind of funny, but at the same time it's well done, then maybe that means that I obviously can't call it D&D, but at least have fantasy elements in there that people are like, oh, well, wow, this is D&D. Because that's the thing. Like it's the, I'll call it the Baby Yoda effect, where everyone calls it Baby Yoda, and yeah, they go, it's the child. Sure, Baby Yoda. Okay, his name is Grogu. Cool, Baby Yoda. So if we make a show that's super D&D, but we can't call it D&D, everyone's going to call it D&D. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think that would be kind of funny to do. Or even name it something that starts with a D, like that has nothing to technically do with like Dungeons or Dragons, but call it that, and then let people make it D&D. They'll just like, oh, let's call this thing D&D for short, which is like, haha, we can't get sued. I don't think. I don't know, but yeah. So I'm excited to see.
We name it Disaster and Destruction.
Oh wait, so name it. Let's see, disastrous near death experiences or whatever. So it's like D-N-D. It's like, we got it. Is that a cease and desist? Too late.
Too late, it's done.
Exactly. They might pull a Warner Brothers and take it into their continuity, accidentally not understanding what that means and then making it canon. Because it'd be kind of interesting, since the fact is like we can't show so we don't, like, you can't show like a beholder unless you have the license to it.
Yeah.
But if you obviously like show from the player, so the character's perspective, so basically it's like first person view by the monsters aspects, and you just show them like screaming and then being turned into stone or being disintegrated, and no one even says what it is. Everyone who's ever played D&D goes, oh, it's a beholder, but they just can't show it, which is a very clever thought. I'm just having it where it's turning, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like you're seeing, the camera's basically seeing out of the beholder's eye or monster's eye, but obviously disintegrates a dude, teleports a dude, or telekinesis tosses, and it's like, oh, it's a beholder. It'd be kind of interesting. I bet you get away with it. It's like, ooh, Hasbro wonders how could you? Go ahead.
What, just out of curiosity, what was your favorite moment from the last session of your game?
So last session of my game, my favorite moment, I can never say that. Well, I mean, let's see. So, that's really hard to say. Like, so I can't. I can think. I always break it down to like favorite character moments. I think, just because because if I say moment, I can't. What?
What
was that?
Drop something twice.
So favorite, so favorite moments. I guess, well, Damocles and Nazir encountering the Gladiator King, air quotes, Malos, just because of how absurd the thought of this kid thinking that he's a king now, like Conan at the end of the movie. So Nazir talking to the Red Dragon as well, because I think like he having to try to explain stuff that should be like impossible or hard to believe. You're trying to make a believe.
I was literally pulling out like all of these. It's almost like pulling diamonds out of a crappy bag because he was like, "Oh, you're just an adventurer." What?
Yeah. Like it's like those reaction videos when you show like Japanese people something mundane to something, it's actually something amazing. Like they that concept where it's like, oh, this no, what? I think also like Damocles's reactions when it with the people that seem to worship this demon emblem, because he's again just kind of like, okay, but that was a lot of basically what's it called, like subverting expectations, where there's people that he knows were involved in a town or village that kind of shunned his family, but yet they're giving him this most creepy, uncanny, like happy look and like happy to see him, and then going to a bar and then seeing the Lost North, which are xenophobic people who don't like tieflings and other things, but that should be a connection of like a bar fight, and you can kind of see him like shifting, like, oh, it's going to be a bar fight, and then one coming up to him like, oh, it's going to be a bar fight, but then just like dropping some lore knowledge. It's like, oh, what that, it ended fine for the most part, I think. So yeah, so that concept.
I liked when you were like, that last name Southern Tongue, and then you were also, it was talking to the tiefling people, the people that like the tieflings. They said something about like the All Mother or whatever, the tiefling mom.
Yeah,
can't remember it off the top of my head, but and then they said that she came from like a southern place, almost like Greece, and then he closed his eyes in the thing that's following him is at like a coast, and I just look at him like, what that sounds like? He's like, like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? I'm like, coast, Greece, you're related to it. That's just it's over.
But yeah, so yeah, but I think that's, and I've said it before, that it's kind of like I can't say I'm torn, but it's a very interesting feeling because while I want to get back to the main story, because again, there's really cool things that I want to happen, kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's also just, it's very funny and fun to watch what plays out in this like flashback, like side quest as well. Character interactions and that, because technically these moments have already happened while they're unfolding as we speak, and what that means going forward. Yeah, you do have technically like plot armor, asterisk. What can I do as a DM to make that seem still like a problem? Like it's still your plot. I keep joking around. It's like, oh, you guys are all dead already. You're just simulacrum clones, kind of thing.
Like if I was in your position, I would put like a curse. Curses can work in that, like no one found out.
Oh yeah.
Like until like later, because it's like it's already there. You wouldn't notice until such and such happened.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, think about it, where you and Noah's character decide to take on the river god. So you find out that later on, because he like stabbed it in the eye and was harassing its gills, that when it looked up, it cursed him. And so that same look, but a different color, means that he blessed Malus. And Malus actually still has that blessing, if you think about it. So he
still has the curse, doesn't he?
The tree. He went to the offering tree and he got rid of the curse after the fight, which is very funny. But yeah. So he removed the curse after he did it, in which the curse was like bodies of water. He has disadvantage. Just in lore, like aquatic creatures have advantage on attacks for him, and Yeah, the river god, like it hurts. Like his swim speed is cut in half. Like that thing puts curses hard.
So it's like, if that was the curse, was the blessing just like mediocre, or was it actually good, kind of thing?
It's good. Well, I mean, yeah, it's a good blessing.
It's like you can breathe underwater. Ultimate bath time. Yeet the baby.
Miles refuses to come up for water air.
Where'd he
yeah.
go?
He just find. Oh my gosh. Indefinite water breathing. He finds a little like underground spring. It pops up somewhere else. He's like, well, he's dead. I don't know where he went. But yeah, I mean, and then the introduction of the Bard character is a fun encounter in that situation. And I'll say, like,
to see how that's gonna turn out.
Yeah,
because
I was like, because inside baseball, I guess. But so because there's some through lines with, like, say how Mirth, the collegiate that the Justifier saved.
Yeah.
So I would say there's enough of a similarity that I feel maybe the players don't, because they do look differently, because they have different views and so forth. But because they are NPCs that don't want to adventure, I wonder, is it going to be the same feeling of like how they treat. So Mirth is he's a weak boy, but he's a smart boy. But they kind of like jab at him being useless in fighting, but at the same time, they still treat him with respect in that aspect. And so walking the line to not have basically was it Richtel being just like a Mirth reskin, but being his own like actual character and what he knows and what he does. And then making it that the encounters, the interactions between the players and him are genuine to his character, not just genuine to an archetype, or genuine to like, oh, he is male British voice NPC, so we treat like this kind of thing. Versus like, oh, okay, well, he's a little bit more annoying. Mirth is a little bit more outgoing. You know what I mean? So that walk in between kind of thing. So.
Interesting. I was hardcore probing for information.
Oh yeah, and that's completely fine.
I was like, I don't often get the chance to probe. I will sit here and take this opportunity.
Yeah. And like,
just like wait.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was like, is he a red dragonborn? Yeah, he's a red dragonborn, but he doesn't look like an adventurer. And I was like, oh. You were like, yeah, he looks more like a scholar. I was like, scholar, you say? He probably knows something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I think, and I like that one because I have been ways, so they don't give you, they're not complete info dumps, but they're threads. So they're just like, you know what I mean? They're now threads to be followed versus just like Dr. Exposition. And you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's a little bit more organic if someone knows a little bit of information and some people know other information.
I feel like once we get the Vigesimal, if Cody's character, like Artorias, finds out that it has like 20 gods in it or something like that, he's gonna be like, we need to keep this. And I'm gonna be like, no.
Yeah, that's 6,000 gold, bro.
I know, like, well, it's like at that point, it's like Nazir's already made a promise to return it, kind of thing.
Yes.
It's like, no, it's not. No, that is getting handed back to where it belongs. We are not keeping it, and I will fight you for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think thinking about an older like, because I know there's some DMs that don't like PvP.
Yeah.
I stand in the idea that if it's player agency and it's like, hey, these characters would have a fight, but they understand like it's a fight, it's not a fight to the death, or it's a fight for some reason, it makes sense for it to be a fight, then I think it's just as important as them fighting an NPC or fighting a monster kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm trying to think for the PvP moments that popped up. There was the the Druid versus Artorias' Paladin fight. Then, well, I guess technically the crossover was a PvP session as well, for some of it. And then like Nazir helping Artorias get this like little sacred guard of his religion kind of thing. So but with that being said, that I think it's a little bit different now with Nazir coming into his, not his powers, but some of his techniques, because again, Divine Smite hits hard, but critting on 5 hits going to hit a lot harder. You know what I mean? So
yes. And also I have the advantage of being able to be ranged.
True.
And the advantage of possibly getting a high initiative.
Yeah.
Also, it's like when you think about it, Nazir is a little like, if we're looking at stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nazir has a +9 to hit.
Yes.
There's a lot higher like likelihood of Nazir hitting than Artorias, because I now have an AC close to him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's almost like 2 tanks fighting each other now.
I just like the thought of an Abram and a Panther just not shooting at each other, but just running into each other.
I picture it more like 2 giraffes fighting with their necks.
Oh man, that's I don't know. It's a goofy. I wouldn't want to get hit by a giraffe neck, but also that's the dumbest sight in my brain.
There is something like I would want to get. I think that'll be like the next question Nazir asks. Like as an item. Maybe not like an item, but something specific. That he's learned in game through like from a previous fight that it can do that. I'll tell you off stream, because I kind of like, I don't want anyone to come back and watch it. I want it to be sort of like a secret thing, so I can show it off if I am able to get it at some point. I thought you were gonna say like Damocles trying to convince Lucy, like Lucy's brother, to come along. And then I just like do the hand motion, and you were like, "Oh,
okay, yeah." Like Lucy being like, so Lucy is a tiefling, like a pale white tiefling, but because she has like Bone Devil in her, I mean, just kind of like this gradient of red tip. So I think I always want to draw, because I think it's probably a very amazing concept in head. Yes. Lucy technically has also wings. Just gloss over that. But yes, she doesn't. She keeps them like tucked, but she does have wings. So she's made a point to tell Damocles this before. But yeah, so their siblings. There's Lucy and Dolar, and Dolar's kind of the straight and narrow wary wart, and Lucy's just kind of excited about adventures and seeing new things and going out in the world and just kind of giving her brother grief. So it's very interesting playing those two characters when they are completely like exact opposite. She's a tiefling, he's just a regular, just a human. But yeah, it's very interesting, like how the party's making this like it's like a side group, a side party, but 2 of the people in the party have like no like fighting abilities. I would say that Lucy probably can do like thaumaturgy. Well, she's shown to do thaumaturgy and probably like not Eldritch Blast, Hellish Rebuke. But then the bard is just a bard, so that's why I use like the word troubadour, or just call him a bard, because he's just that. He's not.
We have 3 barbarians.
Yes, 3 barbarians
and a fighter. There's like some semblance of leadership here, I feel.
But I don't know. So I think it'd be a very interesting dynamic. And what does that also mean? Because the fact is that technically you're lacking in some abilities of magic.
I mean, I can heal. I just
exactly
choose not to.
Yeah. So I mean, because I think you can heal, and I think actually Damocles can heal too.
He can't. He healed himself.
Oh yeah.
I could have done that as well. I had that prepared, like healing word or cure wounds. It was one of the other. I just chose not to because I felt like we weren't going to be fighting. You know?
Yeah. And with that one, I feel it's so. I think that's also what I'm excited about, is because of what does that now mean when it comes to like dungeoneering, which is still like my bread and butter when it comes to D&D. Like I love the aspects of social interactions, and I do like the encounters and combat and explaining it, like describing how combat goes. But there's still something that I really, really love about climbing down old dilapidated ruins and sliding through tunnels that have collapsed, kind of thing. Like just true nail under your fingernails, muddy boot dungeoneering is also something I still thoroughly love about like D&D and just anything that deals with like that kind of aspect.
I think it'll definitely change in how we go about it.
Yeah.
Not sure how. Honestly, I think it'll end up being less brute force.
Interesting. With 3 barbarians and a fighter, less brute force?
It's funny to say that, but me and Noah can both solve puzzles pretty easily, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if there is a puzzle, we wouldn't necessarily just break through it in that aspect. And if there's intelligent things, we probably wouldn't just outright kill them. We try to reason, unless we were provoked.
Yeah. And that's I think that's the biggest like takeaway for a DM, I think, is the concepts of and for a good story is that while some things are playing to like dragons, like you can play to the concept of a dragon being civil, but again, dragons don't have to be civil because they know they're the biggest dog in the yard at most points. So because look at the way that all of you handled the Great Father, and all he really wanted was that people to like respect his title, ask who he was. But look at how the interaction with Balgaris, adult red dragon, and him just destroying a bunch of people, even in a successful negotiation.
I would like to state Nazir was not present for that.
And that's a very interesting idea of like, what would have been, what would have been the outcome? Because technically Kira, because of bloodline or draconic bloodline sorcerers, have the ability to get to add, I think, double their proficiency bonus on charisma when it comes to talking to dragons.
Yeah.
And so it was her doing that made him go, okay, I'm done. Even though it's very funny because I always say that after she did it, out of rage and frustration, Damocles punched her in the chest. Like, even though she's the one that saved all of them for the most part, because it was. Yeah.
Continue your thought. And then we'll go.
Oh no, because technically it was Arturius's negotiations of like, how about this? Again, he's an adult red dragon who someone has stole from him. And then he finds out there's a bunch of slaves, the people who did it, the people who are those same people are disrespecting his herald and refusing to pay him money. And so Arturius going, how about this? As if we will give you something that we think you should have. And he's like, how about we just take half the slaves and you keep the rest? He was like, I got a better idea. How about you take as many slaves as you can carry? And that's when he turned a large amount of them into just ash. Because and that situation was one of those like sinister, beautiful cinematic moments, because you see the confusion on their face of like, as many as you can carry. And it's kind of like trying to figure out how you can put people on your back and shoulder and horses. And then that moment of realization, these are not going to be people in the sense of solids.
Alive. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh no, it's here that Artorias knew he done effed up. And
it is like interesting that that's what happened to with the first Red Dragon.
mhm.
And then it's like by the time the second one came, Kira didn't even want to talk to the Red Dragon.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it was like Nazir was like, hold on, we can talk to him. He's not that bad. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, and it's very, and at the same time, it's kind of funny because it is the concept of it is an adult Red Dragon. And so Kira's like, well, this is a life or death situation. Let's shine and try to get out of this. Givabil Malos is a ancient red dragon of a very large size and age. So it's almost more terrifying the fact of like, what is that hair trigger? And if you want to go to the meta, it's kind of like, well, look what happens when we talk to a dragon of any sort. People get burned. So what is that going to happen when now an ancient red dragon is kind of like, so what you doing here? You know what I mean? Like, so in the meta, it's
I think he became my friend, or at least somewhat. He gave me scales to make a Drake and a child.
yeah.
I think we handled that very well.
Yeah.
Like in total, but I also think that Nazir handled that pretty well.
Yeah.
What else was I gonna say? Oh, because Nazir got the Drake scales and Artorias didn't. That's what I was about to say.
That's funny. I mean, technically, Damocles has one giant scale as well that he can do whatever he's going to plan to do with it.
I think he's forgotten about it, honestly.
Maybe he's probably in his workshop. I think he left it at his workshop the last like downtime situation.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's fun to bring things back up, and they're like, "Oh yeah!" So I'm always on board with that. At least that aspect.
Well, it is 11:42.
Okay.
Would
So
you like
we
to go to the last
Yeah,
one?
absolutely. So for those who are new, the segment we like to do near this time, we've gone 10 minutes over, but hey, we're talking about things we love. So what are you watching, playing, reading, listening to? So what do you got for us?
I am watching a bunch of just Twitch live streams recently.
Mm-hmm.
These range from Michael Reeves, Aqua FPS, Chilled Chaos, just a bunch of people. Been watching just a lot of those people. Depends on what they play though, really. And then of course every day I tune into the Wormwood stream, at least for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Been watching General Sam's podcast, Offline TV's podcast, mainly just podcasts.
Yeah.
Reading My Hero Academia chapters. Did I read something? Oh, just gaming articles, I guess. Technology articles. Nerd stuff. Been looking into resin keycaps. As I told you before the stream, I want to make some.
Yeah.
And then playing, I've almost beaten Cyberpunk. Despite all of the game-breaking glitches that I've run into that just stop you in your tracks and you have to load a save. Escape from Tarkov is another one I've been playing. Listening to just podcasts. Random Spotify playlists, some lo-fi when I go drive to take the trash and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that is pretty much it for me. Did I
Okay.
miss one? I don't think I did.
Well, yep, you hit them all. Reading, playing, listening to, watching. Not in that order, but yeah. Myself, so watching. So I finished up. Was it American Horror Story, 1984? Just finished it. It's okay. It's good. There's a thing they did in there near the end that I really enjoyed them doing. It's all over the place, but it was a very fun one. Let's see, on and off watching your different like YouTube channels. Like I love Craftsman, Craftsman, steady crafting. Definitely, especially if you're getting into resin casting, that's something to check out. Like resin casting and like molding and so forth. Let's see, watching of course Good Mythical Morning, More, and Mythical Kitchen. Those are really fun to watch. I'm watching a lot more Daily Show, and so yeah, just like social distancing show as they call it right now. I would like to find it's funny because I'm trying to find a like a series to fill that Lovecraft Country void. If that makes sense. Like,
yes,
to the degree it's in a way those like either I find it this week or next week I'm just gonna rewatch Lovecraft Country. Like it's just to
like
that
how like I need something to binge watch or I'm gonna go back to Game of Thrones kind of thing.
exactly. Oh, I might watch Game of Thrones.
I think if you binge it, it's better than if you were watching it when it came out, honestly.
Absolutely. That because I've done a re-binge of Game of Thrones sans the last season, and I really enjoyed it a whole lot more. Like really enjoyed it. And it's very interesting the difference because I enjoyed when I watched it the first time, but I don't know, there's something super satisfying. I think it's especially, I mean, it's been out a while, but like especially with like dealing with like the Red Wedding and then like what's his name? It's Walder Frey, whatever.
Yeah, Walder Frey.
Like so that like the betrayal and then the comeuppance. If anyone ever wants to see, like, if you ever want to feel the most vindicated, satisfying, Schadenfreude, like, watch the Red Wedding and then immediately watch Arya get her revenge. It is the most just like sadistic, like, yes, I like it. That is wonderful. It's, I don't know. It is cathartic and dark though.
See, I even think that like when you binge watch it, the last season isn't even that bad because you're not hyped up and you haven't been waiting as long. Because I literally didn't even watch Game of Thrones until it was all done.
Well, see, because so my thing about like the last season isn't the expectation, it's the execution. There's storylines that should have, like, the storylines that are open, people act differently than what their previous selves, which are technically just within a few months difference in world or a few days difference in world. So you fall into this thing where it's just like, why would they do that? And so it goes into the same aspects of like, if I give something, I think it's like 5 whys, usually I'm out, and they do it. Like the season gives me 5 whys in a way where it's just like these amazing stories that should have this payoff is like, no. But the previous season was phenomenal. Like it punched hard. And because with Game of Thrones for a long time, I didn't care if someone spoiled it because I'll just watch it. But when it came to like Battle of the Bastards and all of that, like I was like, hey, nah, don't tell me about it. I'll just watch it. And then, you know what I mean?
Really enjoyed that battle.
Yes.
The Battle of Winterfell also in the second to last season.
Yeah, when they first try to take the yeah. Like they're like
all the Night Horde came.
The last Night Horde fight where the dragon or before?
Last.
Yeah, so that should have been the last season. Like the last season has like the big battle. That was like one of the biggest battles of the show. and possibly the biggest. I did enjoy it. There's still some like questions though that didn't make sense.
Oh no, I agree. I think most of those characters should have been dead, but
yes, I mean so yeah. But I mean I could touch on to different things and different preferences of it, but whatever. It's done. And I think what also plays into it is the concepts of like the directors who are unfortunately initial D&D. The reason why the show turned out like that was because they admitted that they were just trying to rush to end it because they wanted to do a different project. And that also hits hard. Like that one's just like, okay, you know what I mean? So I felt that it was piss poor in its execution. And then these guys who are making it go, oh, it was kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to get that confirmation that I don't think it's its best is just like, okay, then what's the point of watching this last season? Like there could be a retconned made for HBO movie, and I'm like, okay, this is the right true ending kind of thing.
I would very much enjoy like a movie of the last season.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, like it's just like even if the season, cause there's so much stuff that could have been easily just done differently, but whatever, it's done. It's like, so my thing going forward is just like, well, hopefully the book has better canon. If and whenever that's done, and just going forward, these directors or filmmakers are just people to avoid when it comes to any other thing because they're that easy to give a half-tailed or half-hearted product. So yeah. But yeah, that's that. But playing right now, just any just random little web games, app games, and then I guess technically watching / playing, just watching you play like a stream Tarkov or Cyberpunk. But other than that, I haven't really been too much on the playing aspect. Usually I'll go into this again. I go to this dormancy when it's time for me to start doing art and picking back up and doing art. Then I'll stop playing video games or so forth and get back into doing it. And I think that's about it for those. Then, oddly enough, reading. So funnily enough, I guess, because when we were talking to Zach. So I was like, well, the reason why the book that he was talking about, the reason why I remember is because it's saved in one of my bookmarks, and that's just the how to win friends and influence people. It's like, well, I've had it in my bookmark for now. Let's see. I put it back in here probably since I had my phone.
Yeah.
But I had it saved in my other one a little bit as well. So I was like, well, let me start reading that one. Some other books I want to readdress. Just because I think some of the things here can actually help out with ones like public speaking and so forth. Because as a DM, you're speaking, technically it's private, but you are speaking in public.
Yeah.
And just building up storyteller tricks and traits and so forth would always be good as well. So we'll see on that. I think is actually one of the things not to do as a story. Unless you're meditating, that's right. Listening to, getting into some Irish folk songs and more bard things. I'm listening to Skyrim and just more medieval and tavern music. And oddly enough, it's because of old Firefly. Well, Rick told Firefly, the bard you met. That's another thing that I want to do, is that to help differentiate him from other NPCs that might have the same accent, is that there is, let's see, trying to think of a good example. So good example. Have you ever watched the opening for Aladdin? The animation. So the narrator who's talking about Agrabah, there is a sing-song way that he talks. The people do that. They kind of how's it best expressed it? they kind of talk between their nasal and their soft palate, and it's almost as if they can break into song. Then there is the showman in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the same thing where they're talking in a way where it's easily can be just a song, just talk. It's basically them singing very slowly without a tune, but it's a really like fluid and musical sounding song. And so one band is called The Longest John, and they sing like these Irish sea shanties and like folk songs, and picking that up to have just that nuance for like a bard, because this man's supposed to be able to break. And I found myself actually doing it. Now I'm like going back to like, okay, where he might break into a song or think of a ditty or so forth. And again, just adding to the world in itself. So, but on top of that, also Kill Switch Engage, listening to End of Heartache, I think is a really good album. Really, really good sound. I'm not into like heavier screamo stuff or screaming stuff, but they just do it wonderfully. So it kind of feels a little Dio, a little Iron Maiden, but just something else with the screams that is a lot better than like Cradle of Filth. Put Cradle of Filth on blast because, whatever. I would say Cradle of Filth. So Cradle of Filth, I think the funny thing is, I think Cradle of Filth is named after, the Cradle of Filth is inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, I think, by the name. I might be right, but I might be wrong. So, like, I think Cradle of Filth and Black Sabbath are both inspired by H.P. Lovecraft stuff, which is very funny, but that's what he do. But yeah, so Cradle of Filth, phenomenal instrumentals. Like, their instrumental is great. Like, some of it's just beautiful. Sometimes it's gothic and gorgeous. But the vocals, not for me. I mean, again, some people love Cradle of Filth. I loved them since day one. But the two ways I describe Cradle of Filth vocals is either intelligent velociraptors having conversations. Like, they stop chasing the kids in Jurassic Park and start asking, like, where do you want to go eat after this? And it's just like this really just, or goblins chewing on glass. That's those are my two descriptions of Cradle of Filth. If you've heard them and now I say that, go listen to them and go, you know what, this man's ruined Cradle of Filth for me, or I've improved upon it. I might have made it even better and enjoyable. But yeah, but that's all for my aspect. Yeah, that's just my way of thinking, I guess. Oh, yeah.
I could, like, going back to the. Are you done with your whole segment? Was that
absolutely, okay. Absolutely. The end.
Going back to the keycap thing, I could make keycaps, like 3D print one, and we could make a mold of that and make it in resin. That'd be cool. Just like the Ouroboros sign from Full Metal Alchemist.
Ah, yeah.
Put that on like the escape key or something. That'd be pretty cool.
Maybe that might be too dark. I won't say it, but yes, I agree.
Say it.
No, okay. I'll say it later.
Ooh, this could be cool. Like a recording like key.
Yes.
Like, so like it has like a little dot and it says REC in brackets.
Oh, yep. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. And then have whatever key I make it, not a key that I use ever, and then just have that be like a hotkey to stream. That'd be cool. I'm kind of excited to see what new D&D book comes out. Like in the summer, whatever.
I still say that probably 2024 will be the release of 6th edition. I mean, so it's Possibly. So my there has to be something done for it because 2024 will be the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
So this thing has been around for 50 years. That's a big number, especially just of anything lasting that long. So either they're going to bring that out or they will bring out like a special editions re-release of like things like Greyhawk, which is one of your Gary Gygax's like world. So like Greyhawk, Mordenkainen came from Greyhawk. I'm pretty sure Tasha came from Greyhawk, but from under her different name. Beholders came from Greyhawk, and so a lot of stuff were in Castle Greyhawk or Greyhawk, and then they transferred over to the Forgotten Realms. They'll probably do something like this is, it's the big 5-0. So excited to see what that entails, to be fair. But if not, but then again, you have it where Dungeons and Dragons, especially in like my time of seeing the Satanic Panic and everything to now, Dungeons and Dragons 5e is the most inclusive, most everyone's jumping on being more popular. So there's a good chance they might go, well, we'll just wait a while before we change this. It's a really interesting thing, especially with Wizards of the Coast, because sometimes they're like, grab it while it's hot, and other times there's like, oh well, we have them by the short hairs, so make them switch over to something better, newer thing. Like a lot of Magic the Gathering users can see this kind of thing where they'll just like, yeah, we want you to do the same thing, but it's newer, it's more, you'll pay to do it all over again. So I don't know, it's very interesting.
I'm kind of hoping they just elaborate more on 5e, honestly.
No, I do too. I think it'd be great. Again, if it's a great system, I'll play it until I feel like I should move on. So we'll see. Well,
it is 12:01. That will be the end of the stream, unless you have something else to say.
No. Everyone have a good night.
Alrighty. And as always, if you enjoyed the stream and you are not following the channel, please hit the follow button. And if you would like to watch any past episodes of the PiP, you can go to Oni Central and or the PiP Podcast on Facebook or YouTube. And we stream every Tuesday, starting from 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, ending at 12 a.m. And every other Friday, same time, but with a guest. And so, yeah. See you guys next episode.